Here we go. Uh, this is the Motanic Road at the crossroads of historical trauma and healing, tribal urban forestry, tragic to magic. Um, Hello, everyone. My name's Don Motanic, and today I'd like to share a story that intertwines my family's journey and broader historical narrative of trauma and healing within our tribal communities. This presentation will highlight my professional background and vital work being done to support Native American communities through programs like Wisdom of the Elders. Um, some of my professional background, uh, I'm a board member of the Wisdom of the Elders, and my professional journey started in Seattle, where I graduated from the University of Washington in 1978. But I began my career working with the Seattle watershed as a firefighter. Actually, the title of our position was fire guard, but the loggers used to make fun of us and call us fire gods. Uh, I'd experienced a lot of trauma. I didn't join force as I didn't join forestry as a firefighter to save the planet. The planet's doing fine, surviving billions of years. In my perspective, it's the people that really need saving. And one incident when I was young, as an 8-year-old, made me want to be a firefighter. I was about 8 years old, 1962, and my father was a World War II veteran, interpreter in World War II, and we lived in Seattle, a community named Skyway, and in between Seattle and Renton. And our neighbor also was a World War II veteran, and his son was my age, 8 years old, Mikey. He was my best friend, so our dads got along, and everything was fine except one day. I looked up the hill and I could hear my friend Mikey crying and his wife upset. And I saw Mikey's dad with a gun in his hand, and he was waving it around, and he was upset. He was at the top of the hill. We were just below the hill, maybe couple houses down, a house down from the top of this hill. But Mikey's dad was at the top of the hill, and he was upset. And my mother saw this going on. At first, she said, "Well, let's call the police." And I remember my dad said, "Don't call the police. That'll just make things work." And he said, "Make sure you call the fire department. It'll be a fireman that's going to be able to help more than the police." So I just remember watching my little friend going through this, my best friend going through this trauma. And then I saw my dad walk up to the firemen, and they were talking, and I saw my neighbor's dad with a gun going to his head until the fireman came up. And as the fireman came up, he didn't feel threatened by the firefighter. He would have probably with a policeman, but he saw a firefighter in his turnouts, and he wasn't threatened. And the firefighter he was able to talk this person down. And it was like a miracle to watch this as an 8-year-old. And I saw this tragic incident that turned into something magic, where he was able to walk off that hill alive. And I thought, this wasn't just a firefighter. This was the fire god. And our family's historical trauma, that's just part of the trauma I saw as a young person, but actually some of the healing. And our family's history is marked with significant trauma, deeply rooted in the impacts of colonization. My Umatilla father and my Coeur d'Alene mother were taken from the reservation and sent to the Chemawa Indian boarding school, a painful chapter in our history aimed at erasing our cultural identity, where my father's first language was Umatilla, Walla Walla, Nez Perce. The effects of this trauma were compounded by my family's experience in World War II, which brought additional labors of hardship and disruption, where my dad kept his security clearance working with Boeing And because he was an interpreter in World War II, so he was sent out on different details and was away from home, where my mother was by herself without any family support back. And we didn't have the support of our tribal families when we lived in Seattle, because most of 70% of the tribal members in those days lived back on the reservation. In the years that followed, struggles with alcoholism became prevalent, including myself, a common issue among indigenous communities dealing with historical trauma. Our family also faced the heart-wrenching reality of missing and murdered indigenous people. I myself was missing for a few weeks, and my sister passed away. We needed to recover her body in Mexico. So that just shows you it's a real story, just not a number, and a crisis that continues to affect our Native families across the nation. Eventually, I moved to Portland. Before that, I earned my degree at the University of Washington and worked with the Yakama Nation through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And also, I went back home, even though I grew up in Seattle. I went back to be forest manager with my father's tribe. And my mother grew up on Spokane Reservation, so I got to experience that. And eventually, I became the regional forester in Billings, Montana in 1944, and just showing through the years of just going from a technician and student, but actually being detailed on different fire incidents through the years. I worked for the Bureau of Indian Affairs, but eventually I left Seattle, went back to the reservation for about 17 years, several reservations for 17 years, worked with tribes, but came to Portland in 1995 to work with the Intertribal Timber Council, which is a nonprofit organization that serves over 60 member tribes nationwide. Growing up, our family traveled to the huckleberry fields in the Gifford Pinchot National Forest. Even as a child, I learned about tribal sovereignty in treaty lands through this. There's a sign up there, the huckleberry fields is a handshake agreement between the Forest Service and the Yakama Nation. This connection to the land has been a constant in my life, and eventually, which is evidenced by the photographs of our family at the Huckleberry Fields, first in 1958, and then with our daughters 40 years later. A journey from that tragedy to healing is a significant part of our family stories. Bringing our daughter up, showing our daughters where I took my first sweat lodge as a 5-year-old up into the hills, up into the mountains, and showing them as kids our family photo when they were younger, and then when they were in high school and college. And one of our daughters became our Umatilla tribe's first medical doctor, and now works with the Puyallup tribe and is a faculty member at the University of Washington Medical School, and she works with the residency program. This is an example of the healing and progress that we strive for. My presentation today also focuses on the transition from the historical trauma to healing, specifically through the work of Wisdom of the Elders and the Urban Tribal Forestry Initiative. In 2012, 12 years ago, there was a meeting with the Portland Metro Council, which led to the creation or the inclusion of the tribal community into a Portland Metro network called the Intertwine. And also I'll mention another program with this partnership between the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, Wisdom, and the city of Portland, which actually is mitigating some of the heat island that's going on that we're even experiencing today. And then finally, I'll mention, as I mentioned earlier, item 2 is about the 2012 meeting that was based on some research done by Portland State, but Washington State University in Vancouver is also following up with some research. This is a history of Wisdom of the Elders. It's on the website, wisdomoftheelders.org. Wisdom has a workforce program designed to support Native American communities by providing job training, employment opportunity. It focuses on culturally relevant education, skill development in various fields such as environmental science, media production, and health services. The program aims to preserve and promote traditional knowledge while equipping participants with the tools needed for economic self-sufficiency and the community leadership. It often includes mentorship from elders and integrating cultural wisdom with competency skills. And one of the benefits that I've seen is an important part of our curriculum is journaling with our tribal people, because just like myself, they've experienced trauma, and what's really helped me with my healing, besides sweat lodges and those type of things, is actually journaling and writing my own memoirs. I mentioned the start with the this meeting that we had with the Portland Metro Council in 2012. The Native American Youth and Family Center worked with Portland State University, and I was working with the group also. So there was a PowerPoint presentation made, about 40 PowerPoints about the research project, the coalition, Native community participation, the synthesis of the findings, and also the summary. I have a bit.ly on the screen where it's a bit.ly Portland Metro Wisdom of the Elders. So you can find, I believe they're going to put that in the chat. But the thing that we had, the important thing that I know really appreciate Christina's comment on it, is an alliance of 20, this Native American Youth Association developed this Portland Indian Roundtable, where there's an alliance of 28 local Native American organization, which Wisdom of the Elders is one of them. And the elders provided knowledge and historical context. Christina did kind of make me laugh when she said it's really not Indian time. We call it auntie time, because the aunties are the ones who provide the meal, that it's always feed us and lead us with our tribal community. Any time on the reservation we needed to have input on a forestry project, our meetings were in the longhouse afterwards, after everybody was done eating, and we had to make sure the food was there for the community to enjoy. So whenever our aunties had helped us and our kitchen crew, we were always thankful for them, because without the aunties providing the meal, that's when our time went, back on the reservation. It was called Feed Us and Lead Us. Well, this is just a photograph of some of the people. They Gabe Shoeships on the left, Umatilla tribal member. He's actually one of the directors at the Tryon Park. The lady in the green sweatshirt standing next to me, Isabel LaCour. She's now the tribal relations person with the Metro group. So she got hired. That was one of the recommendations, is actually hiring a tribal relations person, and Isabel LaCour is from the Colville tribe. She's a Freelander tribal member. But that's theintertwined.org if you want to see all the different partnerships that are involved. And Wisdom of the Elders is always, they usually have a summit. I know we're always our representatives invited to participate with a summit to provide some of the what's been going on. This is a particular project this is kind of a cool project, because it kind of shows the networking of youth to actually implementation and partnership between the Oregon Museum. The website for this particular project, a youth advisory research board model for climate impact education. It was done during the pandemic, but it was also done when we had a heat spike here in Portland, 116 degrees. And the students participated in that, and that was one of the things that they were looking at, mitigation, that their recommendation was trying to figure out and hoping the city would come up with mitigation. It's Youth Lead the Way. There's actually a video, YouTube video that they produced, which really an outstanding video. I was kind of blown away with what these students were able to do, but there's curriculum and also in this project too of how to work with BIPOC students. And we had Native people that were also part of the leadership. But the thing that came about is that they recommended providing more green spaces. So the city of Portland had mitigation where they provided some Unicorn Motel donated a parking space, and that's our parking spaces anyway. And it was an opt-in City of Portland program, and they were able to pay or donate or have, they had an agreement with this particular motel of how many parking spaces they were going to donate, how many trees, the taking care of the trees for so many years. And the cool thing was that Wisdom of the Elders was the program that actually planted the tree. And what always keeps me going, almost every time our Wisdom of the Elders program, we have our interns, and they come to me, or not to me, but even our staff relays to the board that there was a tribal person on the crew that was ready to commit suicide. And it was the Wisdom of the Elders program that caused him, that provided the wellness program provided by Wisdom of the Elders, just not the planting of the tree. That tree saved a life. And for more information about this, there was a news article done by Trees for Oregon. Their news is back in September, a little over a year ago, or I mean, June 21st, 2023 was it. And now the next item is talking about 12-year, well, it was 2010 to 2012, Portland State University had done research on urban Indians, but WSU Vancouver here in the area is also looking at the healing process. Mina Richardson, who's a Saponi tribal member, and that's in the Durham, North Carolina area. That's where that tribe's from. And Mina worked with the Seattle Health Board. I actually met my daughter when my daughter was working up there. And now she's working with both the Seattle Health Board and the Portland Area Indian Health Board, doing talking circles that initiated very similar to what was going on 12 years ago. And this is Nina's email if you're interested in contacting with her and maybe giving an update. She could probably send you to the WSU Vancouver website to give you an update on what's going on with her research of how, and that's what she's finding out in her talking circles, is that programs like Wisdom of the Elders, Eco Trust, all these programs are providing healing. If you're interested in your own particular location, there is a National Urban Indian Family Coalition that has nuifc.org members. There's these 45 member organizations like the Native American Youth Association in Portland. They're advocating for almost 2 million natives in the United States. And it's just ironic that we didn't almost plan. Christina had yesterday, what happened, manifest destiny, controlling nature with science. Today and the future, the tragic to magic, tribal urban forestry, historical trauma to historical healing with science and traditional knowledge. And I received this permission from Chris Stainbrook from the Indian land tenure. He had a student do this, where the darkness of tragedy is going lightness, and tribal people trying to bring the light of their knowledge to the darkness, that's starting to envelop our nation. So Katya, yeah, questions and dialogue. Thank you.